You are not failing because you are weak. You are failing because the architecture of the world you inhabit was designed to ensure that you never truly succeed. At least, not in the ways that matter to the soul. Look at your hands. Look at the screen. Look at the walls of the room that contains you. Everything you see, everything you touch, and most importantly, everything you think you want, has been curated to keep you in a state of perpetual, low-grade hunger. The system does not want you dead, for a corpse cannot consume. It does not want you fully realized, for a realized human being cannot be controlled. What the system wants is a ghost, a flickering, anxious, distracted version of a human being that functions just well enough to maintain the machine, but remains too exhausted to ever walk away from it. You feel that tightening in your chest, don't you? That quiet, persistent scream in the back of your mind that whispers, "This isn't it?" That is not a symptom of your pathology. That is the only honest part of you left. It is the part of you that realizes you are being harvested. We live in an age of curated anesthesia. We have traded our depth for horizontal expansion, scrolling through the lives of others to avoid the terrifying silence of our own. We are the first generation in history to be simultaneously more connected and more profoundly isolated than any that came before. We have built a world that provides every comfort for the body while systematically starving the spirit. You were promised that if you followed the script, the degrees, the career, the consumption, the digital validation, you would eventually arrive at a destination called fulfillment. But the destination is a mirage. The system is a treadmill that generates power from your movement while ensuring you never actually go anywhere. It feeds on your dissatisfaction. It monetizes your insecurities. It thrives on the fact that you feel like you are perpetually almost there, yet never quite arriving. If this resonates, consider subscribing. The problem is not that life is hard. Life has always been hard. The problem is that modern life is increasingly meaningless. We are suffering from what psychologists call existential vacuum, a state where the traditional pillars of meaning have been dismantled and replaced by a chaotic torrent of fleeting pleasures and artificial crises. We are told to find our passion in a marketplace that has already commodified passion into a brand. We are told to be ourselves in a digital landscape that punishes anything that cannot be reduced to an algorithm-friendly trope. This is the tragedy of the modern condition. We are drowning in information while starving for wisdom. We are surrounded by content, but devoid of context. And as we drift further from the shore of our own authenticity, we begin to realize that the regrets we fear at the end of our lives are not the things we failed to do, but the person we failed to become. The hospice beds of the world are filled with the same haunting refrain. They don't talk about the promotions they didn't get or the cars they didn't drive. They talk about the masks they never took off. They talk about the words they left unspoken because they were afraid of what they would think. They talk about the way they spent 40 years building a life that belonged to someone else. They talk about the terrifying realization that they were merely a supporting character in a script written by a system that never knew their name. This is the ultimate failure the system prepares for you, the failure to have ever lived your own life. It wants you to arrive at the end of your days with a heart full of what-ifs and a soul that is still wrapped in its original packaging, unused and pristine, because you were too afraid to get it dirty in the mess of actual existence. But here is the twist, the razor-sharp edge of the truth that the system tries to hide, that feeling of emptiness, that crushing weight of not being enough, that depression that feels like a heavy gray fog. It is not a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that you are waking up. What the system labels as a disorder, the ancient philosophers recognized as a transition of consciousness. Your soul is rejecting the artificial nutrients it has been fed. Your psyche is staging a coup against the regime of the superficial. That void you feel isn't an absence of life. It is the presence of a new kind of awareness. It is the great refusal. You are beginning to see the bars of the cage, and the cage is panicking. It wants to medicate your awakening back into a slumber. It wants to distract your realization with a new crisis or a new product. But once you have seen the grain in the wood of the table, you can never go back to believing it is solid, unchanging reality. You are in the process of becoming dangerous to the status quo because you are starting to realize that the things you were taught to fear are actually the keys to your liberation. If this resonates, consider subscribing. To understand how to break the cycle, we must look at the giants who stood before the same abyss and refused to blink. Friedrich Nietzsche looked at the collapsing structures of his time and realized that the death of God was not just a theological event, but a psychological one. It meant that the external anchors of meaning were gone, and the individual was now tasked with the terrifying responsibility of creating their own values. Nietzsche warned of the last man, the ultimate product of a decadent system, who seeks only comfort, who blinks, and says, "We have invented happiness while living a life of total mediocrity." The system wants you to be the last man. It wants you to trade your greatness for safety, your fire for a lukewarm existence. Nietzsche's antidote was amor fati, the love of fate, not just accepting your life, but embracing every agony and every joy of it as if you had willed it yourself. To break the cycle, you must stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being the architect of your own necessity. Then there is Albert Camus, who presented us with the myth of Sisyphus, the man condemned to roll a boulder up a hill for eternity, only for it to roll back down every time. This is the perfect metaphor for the system's demand on your life. The endless cycle of work, consume, sleep, repeat. Camus argued that the moment Sisyphus turns back toward the plain to retrieve his rock, he is superior to his fate. He is stronger than his rock. The system wins when you believe the boulder is your master. You win the moment you realize the struggle itself is enough to fill a man's heart. One must imagine Sisyphus happy, not because the task is pleasant, but because he has claimed the task as his own. He has ceased to hope for a solution and has started to inhabit the absurd. When you stop waiting for the system to give you permission to be happy, you strip it of its greatest power over you. Søren Kierkegaard spoke of angst or dread not as a clinical anxiety, but as the dizziness of freedom. It is the feeling of standing on the edge of a cliff and realizing that you could jump or that you could stay. The system hates this dizziness. It wants to give you a map, a guardrail, and a pre-planned route so you never have to feel the weight of your own choice. It wants to replace your freedom with options. But options are just different flavors of the same cage. True freedom is the leap of faith into the unknown, where you no longer rely on the system's logic to justify your existence. Kierkegaard knew that the greatest despair is not to be in despair, but to not know that you are in despair, to be so well adjusted to a sick world that you think your numbness is peace. Arthur Schopenhauer, the great pessimist, reminded us that our lives are driven by a blind, irrational will, a hunger that can never be satisfied. The system is the physical manifestation of this will. It is a hunger that eats itself. Every time you buy the thing you thought would make you happy, the will simply moves the goalpost. Schopenhauer suggested that the only way out is through the aesthetic contemplation of art or the ascetic denial of the will. In modern terms, the only way to break the cycle is to stop feeding the hunger, to find the point within yourself that does not want anything from the world. If this resonates, consider subscribing. Martin Heidegger spoke of Dasein, being there. He observed that most of us live in a state of falling where we are absorbed in the they, not das Man. We do what they do, we think what they think, we value what they value. This is the system's primary mechanism, the social contagion of the average. Heidegger argued that the only thing that can pull us out of this mindless falling is the being towards death. When we truly confront the fact that we will die, not as an abstract concept, but as a visceral impending reality, the they loses its power. The system cannot threaten a man who has already looked death in the eye and accepted his finitude. Authenticity is the courage to live in the light of your own ending, rather than in the shadow of other people's expectations. Think of the system as a clockwork orchard. From a distance, it looks like a paradise. The trees are perfectly spaced. The fruit is vibrant and glowing. The grass is an impossible shade of green. You are invited in, told to eat your fill, told that this is the summit of human achievement. But when you bite into the fruit, you find it is made of painted lead. It is heavy, it is cold, and it breaks your teeth. The orchard doesn't provide nutrition, it provides the image of nutrition. It is a simulated life, and the more you eat, the heavier you become, until you are anchored to the ground, unable to leave the rows of trees that are starving you. The vacío, the void you feel, is the realization that you're standing in a forest of lead and your body is screaming for something organic, something wild, something that hasn't been engineered for your compliance. This void is not a hole to be filled, it is a lens to be looked through. When you look through the void, the clockwork orchard begins to dissolve. You see that the pleasures offered to you are actually hooks. The success offered to you is a harness. The security offered to you is a tomb. The system uses your own biology against you. It triggers your dopamine pathways with likes and notifications and status symbols, keeping you in a state of primitive arousal that bypasses your higher consciousness. It turns you into a biological machine reacting to stimuli. To wake up is to realize that you are the one holding the lead fruit to your own mouth. To wake up is to drop the fruit and walk into the unmapped wilderness beyond the orchard's fence. If this resonates, consider subscribing. Beware the false prophets of the modern age. The system is clever. It knows that some people will inevitably see through its primary illusions. So it has created safety valves, countercultures, and alternative lifestyles that are actually just different wings of the same prison. It offers you hedonism as a form of rebellion. It tells you that the answer to the void is more sex, more drugs, more travel, more experiences. But hedonism is just another form of consumption. It is the attempt to fill a spiritual hole with physical matter, which is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. The rebel who spends his life chasing the next high is just as much a slave to his neurochemistry as the corporate drone is to his salary. Both are running away from the silence. Both are terrified of the vacío. It offers you escape, the digital worlds, the metaverses, the endless narratives of fiction and gaming. While there is beauty in art, the system uses these as anesthesia. It wants you to be a hero in a world that doesn't exist so that you don't notice you are a servant in the one that does. It wants your energy, your passion, and your struggle to be expended in a simulated environment where it can be safely contained. Every hour you spend leveling up a digital avatar is an hour you are not leveling up the sovereign being that inhabits your skin. It offers you mechanical life, the promise that if you just optimize your routine, drink the right supplements, and follow the right productivity hacks, you will finally feel whole. But you cannot hack your way into a meaningful existence. A perfectly optimized life is just a more efficient way of being a machine. The system loves self-improvement because it keeps the focus on the individual's defects rather than the system's toxicity. It tells you that you are the problem, and then it sells you the solution in the form of a subscription service. Do not fall for the lie that the next thing will be the one that fixes you. You are not a broken machine. You are a suppressed God. The new paradigm is not about doing more. It is about being more. It is the move from integrity of performance to integrity of essence. Most of us live divided lives. We have our system self, the one that goes to work, uses the right jargon, and smiles at the right people. And then we have our shadow self, the one that feels the rage, the grief, and the longing. The new paradigm demands the collapse of this wall. It demands radical authenticity. This means living in such a way that your internal reality and your external expression are a single, unbroken line. It means saying no when the system expects a yes, even when it costs you, especially when it costs you, because the cost is usually just a piece of the lead fruit you didn't need anyway. If this resonates, consider subscribing. This is the move toward presence. The system requires your mind to be either in the past, guilt, nostalgia, or in the future, anxiety, planning. It cannot function if you are fully present in the now. Today, why? Because in the now, there is no lack. In the now, you are not a consumer. You are a witness. Presence is the ultimate act of sabotage against a system built on not enough. When you occupy your body fully, when you breathe into the depths of your lungs, when you look at another human being without an agenda, you are operating outside the matrix. You are reclaiming the territory of your own consciousness. You might say, but I have bills to pay. I have a family to support. I can't just walk away into the woods. This is the primary objection the system uses to keep you paralyzed. It frames the choice as an either-or. Either you are a slave to the system or you are a starving hermit. This is a false dichotomy. You do not have to leave the world to stop being of the world. You can be a ghost in the machine. Lie. You can perform the necessary functions of the system to survive while internally remaining completely detached from its values. You can pay your bills without buying the lie that your worth is tied to your bank account. You can work the job without letting it own your soul. The real transformation happens in the quiet moments of decision. It happens when you choose truth over comfort, even in small ways. It happens when you allow yourself to feel the vazio without trying to distract yourself from it. You think the void will swallow you, but the void is actually the only solid ground you have. Everything else is a projection. When you stop being afraid of the emptiness, the system loses its primary lever of control, fear. A man who is comfortable with his own nothingness cannot be bribed, cannot be threatened, and cannot be managed. He is, for the first time, truly free. If this resonates, consider subscribing. Consider the story of a man who reached the very top of the clockwork orchard. Let's call him Julian. Julian did everything right. He had the high-rise office, the prestigious title, the perfect family, and the envy of everyone he knew. He was the system's success story. But one Tuesday afternoon, while sitting in a board meeting discussing quarterly growth, he looked at a fly crawling across the glass table. He watched the fly's tiny legs, its translucent wings, its singular, unbothered focus on just being a fly. And in that moment, Julian felt a wave of nausea so profound, it felt like a physical blow. He realized that the fly was more alive than he was. The fly was participating in the ancient raw reality of existence while he was participating in a spreadsheet. Julian went home and tried to talk to his wife about it, but she spoke in the language of the system. You're just stressed. Maybe we should take a vacation. You should see a therapist. He realized that even his closest relationships were mediated by the system's expectations. He wasn't a husband. He was a provider. He wasn't a man. He was an asset. This realization led to what the system calls a breakdown. He stopped sleeping. He stopped caring about the quarterly growth. He began to walk for hours in the rain, feeling the cold water on his skin, the first thing he had felt in a decade that wasn't filtered through a screen or a price tag. His success collapsed. He lost the job, the house, the friends who were only there for the prestige. To the world, Julian had failed. He was a cautionary tale. But Julian had never felt more powerful. He had moved from a collapso hedonico, the collapse of his pleasure-seeking identity, to an existential awakening. He found a small job that required nothing of his soul and spent his remaining hours reading, thinking, and actually seeing the world. He realized that the failure the system warned him about was actually the success his soul had been begging for. He was no longer a ghost, he was a man. He had died to the machine, and in doing so, he had been born to himself. This is the metaphor of decomposition. To the system, decomposition is a horror, the end of a product's shelf life. But to nature, decomposition is the most vital process of all. It is the breaking down of the old to provide the nutrients for the new. You are currently in a state of decomposition. The person you thought you were, the system-compliant you, is rotting. And that's good. Let it rot. Don't try to preserve the corpse. The vazio is the dark, rich soil that is left behind. It is the only place where something authentic can grow. You must be willing to be the compost of your old life to become the forest of your new one. If this resonates, consider subscribing. The void is your master, not your enemy. In the silence of the void, the system's voice becomes a thin, pathetic whine. It has no power there. The void is where you meet your own Dasein. It is where you confront the being towards death and realize that since your time is limited, every second spent living someone else's life is a form of suicide. The system wants you to commit this slow daily suicide because it keeps the gears turning. But you can choose to live. You can choose to be the anomaly in the code. How do you do this practically? First, you must habit the void. Stop the noise. For 30 minutes a day, sit in a room with no phone, no book, no music, no distraction. Just you and the silence. At first, it will be agonizing. Your mind will scream for stimulation. It will throw anxieties at you like a panicked child. This is the system's withdrawals. If you stay with it, the screaming will eventually subside into a profound, heavy stillness. This stillness is your home. This is where your sovereignty lives. Once you know the way back to this stillness, you can carry it with you into the noise of the world. You become unshakable because you have already faced the nothing and found yourself still standing. Second, you must recognize the condition. Start looking at your desires through a microscope. When you want something, ask yourself, is this my desire or is this a programmed response? If you feel a need for validation, ask, whose applause am I seeking and why do they have power over me? The system relies on you acting on autopilot. By bringing the light of consciousness to your impulses, you switch the controls to manual. You begin to see the invisible wires that have been pulling your limbs. And once you see the wires, it becomes much harder for the puppeteer to make you dance. Third, you must stop running. Most of your life has been a flight from something, from poverty, from insignificance, from boredom, from the vazio. When you run, you're predictable. The system just has to place a reward in front of you or a threat behind you to steer you wherever it wants. Stop, stand still. Turn around and face the thing you are running from. Look at the regret you fear. Look at the failure you dread. You will find that they are paper tigers. They only have power as long as they are behind you. When you face them, they dissolve into the gray mist they were always made of. If this resonates, consider subscribing. We are at a crossroads in human history. The system is becoming more pervasive, more intrusive, and more perfect in its control. But at the same time, more people than ever are feeling the vazio. The matrix is glitching because the human spirit is not a machine and it cannot be indefinitely suppressed. Your failure in the eyes of the system is the opening of a door. It is the beginning of liberation. You are being pushed out of the nest because you were meant to fly, not to stay in the clockwork orchard eating lead fruit. The system wants you to believe that breaking the cycle is a massive dramatic event, a revolution in the streets. But the real revolution is internal. It is the quiet, steady refusal to be a ghost. It is the decision to inhabit your life with such intensity and such presence that the system's illusions simply melt away in the heat of your being. You don't have to defeat the system. You just have to outgrow it. You have to become so real that the simulated world can no longer contain you. You are the descendant of stars and the ancestor of gods. You are a biological miracle that has been convinced it is a consumer. You have within you the capacity for amor fati, for the leap of faith, and for radical authenticity. The vazio you feel is not the end of the world. It is the end of their world, and it is the beginning of yours. The hospice bed is far away, but its lesson is here now. Don't wait until the light is fading to realize that the person you were waiting for was you. The system wants you to fail because your success in its terms is your ultimate defeat as a human being. Break the cycle. Drop the lead fruit. Turn toward the silence. The void is not a pit, it is a womb, and you are currently being born. The only way to truly survive the machine is to refuse to be a part of its mechanics. Stop trying to win the game they designed. The only way to win is to stop playing. Stand in your own truth, however inconvenient, however painful, however empty it may feel. Because in that emptiness, for the first time in your life, you will be free. If this resonates, consider subscribing. The cycle is not a circle, it is a spiral, and you have been circling the same drain for too long. It is time to step off. It is time to realize that the failure you were so afraid of was actually the only thing that could save you. The system didn't want you to fail. It wanted you to succeed in a way that made you dead while you were still breathing. By failing to meet its standards, you have succeeded in reclaiming your life. Remember the fly on Julian's table. It didn't need a promotion. It didn't need a retirement plan. It didn't need a digital presence. It was just being. You have forgotten how to be because you have been so busy becoming what they told you to be. Go back to the source. Go back to the vazio. Everything you ever needed is waiting for you in the silence you have been running from your entire life. You are not a cog. You are not a number. You are not a data point. You are the universe experiencing itself through a unique, unrepeatable lens. Don't let the system smudge the glass. Clean it with the fire of your own authenticity. And when the end finally comes, and you are lying in that quiet room, let your only regret be that you didn't wake up sooner. But you are awake now, and that is enough. The system wants you to fail, but it has already lost, because you are no longer afraid of the dark. If this resonates, consider subscribing. The Matrix is not a place you leave. It is a perspective you transcend. It is the realization that the walls are only as high as your belief in them. When you stop believing in the clockwork orchard, the fence vanishes. You are free to walk out into the wild, beautiful, terrifying reality of your own existence. It will be hard. It will be lonely. It will be unoptimized. And it will be the first time you have truly been alive. Do not look for a leader. Do not look for a map. The map is written in the vazio of your own soul. Follow the silence. Follow the heat. Follow the thing that makes your heart beat with a rhythm that doesn't match the ticking of the system's clock. You were born for more than this. You were born for the absurd. You were born for the leap. You were born to be the one who looks at the system and says, no. The world is waiting for you to stop being a ghost. The void is waiting for you to inhabit it. The truth is waiting for you to speak it. Break the cycle now, not tomorrow, not after the next promotion, not after the weekend, now. In this breath, in this moment, in this vazio, you have been a passenger in your own life for far too long. It is time to take the wheel, even if you have no idea where you are going. The going is the point. The being is the destination. The system wants you to fail, but you have already succeeded the moment you decide that your soul is not for sale. This is the end of the script they wrote for you. Now, take the pen and write your own. The first page is blank, white, and beautiful. It is a vazio waiting for your first honest word. Don't be afraid of the silence. It is the sound of your own freedom. Everything you have ever lost was just a weight that was keeping you from floating. Everything you have ever feared was just a shadow of the system's own insecurity. You are the light that creates the shadow. Turn around and look at the source. If this resonates, consider subscribing. The system is a whisper, but your soul is a roar. Let the world hear it. Let the clockwork orchard tremble at the sound of a human being who has finally, mercifully, failed to be a machine. You are not a bug in the system. You are the system's end, and that is the most beautiful thing you could ever be. You spend your life building a monument to a person who doesn't exist. You decorate the halls of your public persona with the trophies of a war you never wanted to fight. You collect the likes, the shares, the promotions, and the social capital like a man collecting colorful pebbles while his house is on fire. The system encourages this. It wants you to be the most decorated resident of the burning house. It wants you to be so preoccupied with the arrangement of your pebbles that you don't smell the smoke. But the fire is real. The fire is the regret of end of life. It is the slow, inevitable burning away of everything that isn't true. And if you have built your entire identity out of the system's materials, there will be nothing left when the fire is done. You will be a pile of ash in the shape of a person. This is the ultimate failure. This is what the vacío is trying to prevent. It is the controlled burn that clears the brush of the false self so that the true self can survive the final conflagration. The system sells you success as a shield against the fire. It tells you that if you are rich enough, famous enough, or powerful enough, you can buy your way out of the human condition. But the fire doesn't care about your bank account. The fire only cares about authenticity. It only cares about what is essential. Most of what we call our lives is just fuel for the fire. The work you do to break the cycle is the work of identifying what isn't fuel. It is the search for the incombustible soul. If this resonates, consider subscribing. This search requires you to go into the psychology of the depths. It requires you to look at the trauma and the anesthesia that the system has used to keep you compliant. We are a traumatized species, disconnected from our animal nature and our spiritual heritage. The system exploits this trauma. It offers comfort as a substitute for healing. It offers dopamine as a substitute for joy. It offers entertainment as a substitute for meaning. To break the cycle, you must stop accepting the substitutes. You must demand the real thing, even if the real thing is painful. Healing is not a pleasant process. It is the decomposition we spoke of earlier. It is the breaking down of the anesthesia so that you can finally feel the wound. And once you feel the wound, you can finally move toward the cure. The cure is not found in a pill or a product. The cure is found in the integrity of facing your own existence without a filter. It is found in the Heideggerian resolve to be there, to fully inhabit the space and time you have been given. You have been taught that emptiness is a problem to be solved. You have been taught that silence is a gap to be filled. You have been taught that vulnerability is a weakness to be hidden. The system taught you these things because they are the very tools of your liberation. Emptiness is the space where God speaks. Silence is the frequency of the truth. Vulnerability is the only doorway to connection. By rejecting these things, you have been rejecting your own power. If this resonates, consider subscribing. Reclaim your vacío. Reclaim your silence. Reclaim your vulnerability. Wear them like armor. The system cannot touch a man who has made peace with his own insignificance. It cannot control a woman who has found a world within herself that is more interesting than the one on the screen. This is the subversion of the soul. This is how you break the cycle from the inside out. You don't have to tear down the walls of the system. You just have to stop providing the energy that keeps them standing. The system is a vampire. It feeds on your attention. It feeds on your outrage. It feeds on your comparison. Every time you look at a celebrity and feel less than, you are feeding the machine. Every time you get angry at a political headline designed to provoke you, you are feeding the machine. Every time you buy something to feel better, you are feeding the machine. Stop feeding it. Starve the beast. Redirect that energy back into your own presence. Redirect it into your own creation. Redirect it into the people you actually love, in the physical world, in the present moment. This is the great reframe. Your depression is a strike. Your anxiety is a warning. Your loneliness is a call to return to yourself. The things you have been trying to fix are the very things that are trying to save you. They are the saboteurs within the system's programming, working on your behalf. Listen to them. What are they telling you? They are telling you that you are living a lie. They are telling you that the clockwork orchard is a prison. They are telling you that it is time to go. If this resonates, consider subscribing. Do you hear the clock ticking? That is the sound of the system's most precious resource, your time. Every tick is a second of your life that has been marketed, monetized, and managed. You will never get those seconds back. The system wants you to spend them in a state of future tense anxiety, always looking toward the next thing, the next goal, the next success. But the only place you can ever be successful is in the now. The only place you can ever be free is in the now. break the clock, step out of systemic time and into existential time. Existential time is not measured by productivity. It is measured by depth. A single minute of pure, authentic presence is worth more than a decade of mechanical living. This is the secret the system hides, that you can live 1,000 years in a single afternoon if you have the courage to be fully present. You don't need more time. You need more you in the time you have. The system wants you to fail because it is afraid of what you will do if you succeed, truly succeed. It is afraid of the unmanaged human. It is afraid of the person who doesn't need its validation, its products, or its permission. It is afraid of the person who has looked into the vacío and smiled, because that person is system-proof. That person is a glitch that can't be patched. That person is the Ubermensch, rising from the ashes of the last man. If this resonates, consider subscribing. Look at your life again, not through the lens of the system's expectations, but through the lens of the terminal ward. If this was your last day, what would you care about? Would you care about your brand? Would you care about your productivity? Or would you care about the way the light hits the trees? Would you care about the feeling of your breath? Would you care about the person whose hand you are holding? The matrix is the hallucination that the first list matters. Reality is the realization that only the second list does. We are told that regret is something that happens at the end, but regret is something you are building every single day that you live in authentically. Every time you betray your own truth to fit in, you are adding a brick to the monument of regret that will be waiting for you at the end. Stop building it. Start dismantling it. Every act of radical authenticity is a brick removed. Every moment of presence is a brick turned to dust. You can arrive at the end of your life with nothing but the clear, open space of a life well lived. This is the metaphor of the mirror. The system is a hall of mirrors, each one showing you a distorted, better version of yourself. You spend your life chasing these reflections, trying to become the person in the glass. But the mirrors are anesthesia. They keep you from looking at the person who is standing in the room. To break the cycle, you must smash the mirrors. You must look at yourself in the vacío of the dark glass, where there is no reflection, only the fact of being. If this resonates, consider subscribing. It takes a terrible courage to be real in a fake world. It takes a savage integrity to stay awake when everyone else is dreaming. But the alternative is the slow death of the soul. The alternative is to become a successful ghost. And you were not born to be a ghost. You were born to be a flame. You were born to decompose the old world and compose a new one from the sheer force of your own authenticity. The system wants you to fail, but the universe is rooting for your awakening. The vacío is calling you home. The silence is waiting for your song. The clockwork orchard is falling apart, and the wilderness of truth is growing through the cracks. Step out of the rows, drop the lead fruit. Breathe the air of the absurd. You are free. You have always been free. You just had to fail at being a slave to realize it. This is your exit interview from the Matrix. You don't need to sign anything. You don't need to explain yourself. You just have to walk out the door. The door is the now. The door is the vacío. The door is the integrity of your own heart. Walk through it. Don't look back. There is nothing behind you but a burning house and a pile of colorful pebbles. Everything you ever wanted is on the other side of the failure you have been running from. Embrace the failure. Embrace the void. Embrace the truth. The cycle is broken. The Matrix is a memory. You are, for the first time, here. If this resonates, consider subscribing. Take a deep breath. Feel the weight of your body. Feel the vacío in your chest. Don't try to fill it. Just sit with it. It is the most honest thing you own. It is the seed of your sovereignty. From this seed, a new life will grow. A life that doesn't belong to the system, a life that doesn't belong to the they, a life that belongs only to the nothingness from which all things are born. You are the architect of your own existence. You are the Sisyphus who has claimed the rock. You are the Kierkegaardian who has taken the leap. You are the Nietzschean who has loved his fate. You are the Heideggerian who is being towards death. You are all of these things and none of them. You are the silence between the words. You are the presence behind the eyes. The system is a ghost story we tell ourselves to avoid the terrifying beauty of our own freedom. Stop telling the story. Stop listening to the whisper. The only truth is the vazio. The only success is authenticity. The only way to break the cycle is to realize that the cycle was never there. It was just a drawing on the wall of your cage, and you have just realized that the cage has no roof. Look up. The stars are not content. The sky is not a screen. The vazio is not empty. It is full of the potential for a life that is actually, truly, beautifully your own. Failure is the beginning. The void is the mester. The truth is the end. The system wants you to fail. So fail. Fail spectacularly. Fail completely. Fail until there is nothing left of the person they wanted you to be. And in that holy failure, find the human being who was there all along, waiting for you to stop succeeding and start living. If this resonates, consider subscribing. We have reached the end of the essay, but the reframe has just begun. The V19 is not a version of a software. It is a version of you, the version that finally saw the grain in the wood, the version that finally stopped eating the lead fruit.